In this talk, I am going to introduce a method of healing your mind whenever you find it suffering in negative states of mind such as despair, worry, anxiety, and grief, and so on. The mind, being so sensitive, succumbs easily into such negative states. We can draw a long list of such mental sicknesses. To quote more: meaninglessness, confusion, melancholy, cloudiness, gloominess, misery, dullness, and so on. Often we experience such mental afflictions in our daily life. We are so familiar with them that we neglect them and simply allow time to heal them. Some afflictions slip away with ease, while some remain longer. The more painful ones last throughout life, arising from time to time. If you care yourself, you do whatever possible to cleanse the mind from such sufferings. You do not allow them to ingrain into your consciousness. Constant refreshment of mind is necessary to keep the mind in balance, to keep the mind healthy and vibrant. There are many methods to heal the mind in such instances. The method I am going to introduce here is healing through insight. It is directly going to the root of the cause and eliminate it, just as in a surgery. First step is to know the nature of your particular suffering. Survey and scan the inflicting problem. Know your suffering. That's the first step. We will take a situation, for example. Suppose a person whom you trusted betrayed you. It produces a lot of pain inside you. A problem, whether it is objective or subjective, consists of two dimensions, namely the external one and the internal one. External dimension needs action. It demands you to act. It has to be resolved by intelligent and right action, or even by inaction. Not that all problems can be solved, but at least some can be resolved to some extent. Coming to the inner psychological dimension of the problem demands understanding. Psychological problems demand understanding. Here I am not going to discuss the external actions that we can take for a problem because they are so obvious and direct. Since the inner problem is complicated, cloudy, we will focus on it and see how we can resolve it. A complete solution demands action from both dimensions. So we said the first step is to survey and scan the problem, that is the psychological suffering in you. You must have a complete understanding of the suffering in you. So you are trying to grasp the whole problem, not a fragment of it. Suppose you feel despair due to being betrayed. The despair has many aspects, such as self-pity arising in you, a sense of loss, a sense of being ridiculed, anguish, misery, and so on. So you have to be aware of all these aspects. This awareness is passive but alert. You do not interfere into the thought process, but you simply watch them as from above without touching them. You watch every moment of the thought, every direction of the thought. You are watching the rising and falling of your painful thoughts. You keep watching. However powerful a thought is, you directly feel it without trying to escape. Once you have the full view of your suffering, a holistic understanding of the problem, then you accept it wholeheartedly without trying to run away. This acceptance changes the quality of the problem. The problem loses its intensity and gravity and becomes at least a little bit of friendly. Then you ask yourself, why I am suffering here? What is that producing suffering in me? Many people do not go to such depth. They simply complain someone and stop there. But here you are asking, who is producing this suffering? Is that the person who betrayed me? Or is it an entity within me who is producing this suffering? Ultimately, you will find the producer of your suffering is inside you. That entity who is producing suffering in you is you, which you call I, me, ego. Ego is the producer of your suffering. Do you understand? If you understand, it is a discovery. Then you ask your ego, why are you producing this suffering? What are your excuses? Then the ego may give reasons, give excuses for producing suffering. Perhaps often the ego may say, I am hurt, therefore I produce suffering. Or I am afraid of my own existence. It is this fear that expresses itself through suffering. Oh, I have been hurt so much in the past, so I know only hurt, pain, so I reproduce it. You see, beneath the hurt, there is anger, resentment, self-hate, and negativity. Now, you have such an ego. What are you going to do with this ego? What are you going to do with your ego, which is full of hatred, resentment, and so on? Can you condemn your ego or suppress your ego? No. Can you reject your ego? No. Can you separate yourself from it? No. Because you are the ego. All you can do is to understand it compassionately and accept, saying, yes, this ego is me. The very insight into the problem awakens you from the slumber of the problem. Psychological suffering comes in the slumber of the self-ignorance in you. So, insight into the problem awakens you from the dream of suffering. Once awakened, the problem is no more. Do you understand? It is like a dream is no more when awakened.